Welcome to Quizmaster Hub. Are you ready for a history challenge? 50 questions, 10 seconds each. No pauses, no mercy. Let's see how smart you really are.
In what band was Michael Hutchinson the lead singer and songwriter?
C.
INXS.
Who did Peeping Tom peep at in about 1040? A. Lady Godiva. Which war was won and lost at the Battle of Naseby in 1645? A.
English Civil War.
For what invention are the Montgolfier brothers remembered? C. The first successful hot air balloon.
Who was the husband of Queen Victoria?
D. Prince Albert. Which part of Cyrano de Bergerac was unusually large? D. His nose.
What kind of fish attracted 16th century fishermen to the east coast of North America?
B. The cod. What kind of weapon was an arquebus? B. An early form of musket, firearm.
Who wrote the poem Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening?
A. Robert Frost.
Which holy man became a favorite of the Tsar's family just before the Russian Revolution?
A. Rasputin. What was the Charleston? C. A dance. What instrument did jazz legend Louis Armstrong play? D. Trumpet.
Which Greek thinker was condemned to die by drinking poison?
B. Socrates.
Of which ancient country was Akhenaten a ruler?
B. Egypt.
What in the USA is known as Old Glory?
C. The national flag. Who wrote about a hedgehog called Mrs. Tiggywinkle? A. Beatrix Potter.
Which country was ruled by Ayatollah Khomeini until 1989?
C. Iran. Which side used a Trojan horse to enter the city of Troy? D. The Greeks. What type of machine were the R-101 and the Hindenburg, both built in the 1930s? D.
Passenger airships.
Which 17th century scientist proved that blood circulates through the body? C.
William Harvey.
In which country was the Easter Rising of 1916?
C. Ireland. How would you have kowtowed to a Chinese emperor? C.
Bowed down to the floor in front of him.
How many pre-decimal pennies were there in a shilling?
C. 12.
Who, in Greek mythology, had snakes instead of hair?
C. Medusa.
Which Australian state is named after the man who discovered it?
C. Tasmania.
What kind of engines were pioneered by Robert Goddard and Werner Braun?
A. Rocket engines. America was the New World. Where was the Old World? A. Europe and Asia.
What make was the first completely waterproof watch?
B. Rolex.
What was the name of the Turkish Empire that ruled from the 13th century until 1918?
C.
Ottoman Empire.
Who sits on the woolsack in the House of Lords? A.
The Lord Chancellor.
Where did Robert Peary claim to have reached first in 1909? A.
The North Pole.
Was Le Corbusier a painter, an architect, or a film director?
D. Architect.
In which European country was ruled by Tito from 1945 to 1980?
C. Yugoslavia.
How many ships were there in the Spanish Armada? 30, 130, or 530?
B. 130.
Who were the Texans fighting at the Alamo?
D. The Mexicans. What strange tax was abolished in Britain in 1851? A.
Tax on windows.
Which Russian scientist trained hungry dogs to salivate at the sound of a bell?
B.
Ivan Pavlov.
Who was the first Tudor monarch of Britain? B. Henry VIII.
In which century was the first pendulum clock built? 15th, 16th, or 17th century?
B. 17th.
What does an army march on according to Napoleon?
B. Its stomach. Who wrote the novel War and Peace? D. Leo Tolstoy.
Why is the U.S. stealth fighter so called?
A. Because it is difficult to detect on radar. Which cricketer holds the records for highest test score, 375, and highest first-class score, 501? B. Brian Lara.
Which ocean was Balboa the first European to see in 1513?
C. Pacific.
Which modern country was once called Siam?
D. Thailand. Who was shot by John Wilkes Booth in 1865? D. Abraham Lincoln.
What kind of firearm was patented by Samuel Colt in 1835?
B. The revolver.
What did Italian dictator Mussolini's title Il Duce mean?
C. The leader.
Who wrote the 1812 Overture?
D. Tchaikovsky.
Which of the Marx brothers wore a painted false mustache?
D. Groucho. Great job for completing the quiz. How many answers did you get right? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more fun quizzes. See you next time on Quiz Master Hub.